Hello and welcome to the Cornish Witch podcast. I'm your host Freya, a witch who lives in Cornwall but who isn't a born and bred Cornish maid. Just before we get into today's show, I do have a couple of announcements. First announcement is next Thursday, the 12th of March, there will be no podcast episode. I am just going to take a little bit of a break. You might have heard me mentioning this a couple of times, probably over the last month, because I am still a very excitable child at heart. But it is my birthday this coming Sunday, the 8th of March, and I am just taking a bit of time off just to rest and recharge my batteries. I have noticed that I'm getting a little bit burnt out. I want to just really nip that in the bud and give myself some rest so I don't expire completely. So next Thursday the 12th of March there will be no episode from me, but I will be returning the week after, so hopefully you can do without me for a week, and if you can't, you are always welcome to go back and listen to the previous episodes. And then announcement number 2 is the giveaway in collaboration that I am doing with Emily from Black Cat Books. Emily and I will be drawing names from the first raffle this Saturday, which will be the 7th of March. So please check out our Instagram and Facebook pages where you can see us draw the name for the first raffle and see who the winner will be for the free tarot card giveaway. And then we will also give more information on when the next raffle will be drawn, which we are looking to do at the beginning of April. Okay, so those are my couple of announcements. So looking into today's episode, my guest today is artist and spiritual seeker Ralph Nel. Join us in this insightful conversation as we delve into the worlds of Norse mythology, runes, Cornish folk culture, and the evolving landscape of modern paganism. We discuss the importance of women's spaces and gender fluidity in spirituality, fearing the gods and gender archetypes, the fluid spectrum of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. We also highlight the exploration of gender roles and non-binary themes. Ralph's unique perspective blends artistry, spirituality, and a deep respect for ancient traditions, providing a comprehensive overview of the discussion on these important topics, making this episode a rich exploration of how these elements shape personal and collective identity today. Ralph, welcome to the Cornish Witch podcast. We've finally managed to get a date in the book and get recording.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it happens when it's supposed to happen, I suppose.
Do you know what's funny, though, is that I think I sent you a message, it could have been before Christmas, I don't know, I lose track of time, but I sent you a message saying, I'm sure at some point when the planets align, we'll be able to get together and do a podcast recording, and the planets have actually aligned today, which I was just like, my friend sent me a message going, if you look at dusk, you're going to see like Venus in conjunction with Mercury, Mars, and I was like, that's just nuts. Like, some sort of weird foreshadowing. So, yeah. But I'll take it. I like it.
Park and right had to occur.
Even if let's just not talk about that.
What's on everything?
And I was an hour late. I'm not that unprofessional, guys. It was just
It's the Cornish. We do things directly, don't we?
Yeah, even though I'm not the Cornish.
Fuck it.
So I'll just adopt.
That's not the attitude, so I'm sorry.
No, you can swear on here. It's fine if you want to. It's a safe space. If you need to
I think the directly attitude gets us all.
Yeah.
When we're there.
But would you believe me if I told you that I left at 12:30? Because I had to get petrol. Yeah. So I was really organised.
I've got friends who leave the day before.
And they're still just like an hour later than they should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Into the town across.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Because they've had to speak to everyone they know on the way.
Oh, you see, lucky I don't know anyone here.
Oh, aye. Yes.
Yeah. So I just had to navigate people who are walking really slowly through town.
Yeah.
I was like, move. It was fine. So how would you like me to introduce yourself? Because we met at Borderlands Festival, and you are very, very artistic. I know that you are an incredible artist, and I bought some lovely artwork off you as well. Those handmade cards with the one that had a stag on it. I think that's how we got talking, actually. I was like, oh, that's a stag. I'm really into stags, as in like in a spiritual thing. And then as I looked through the rest of your cards, I've actually up on my wall, it's like very ethereal, like it's almost like spirits coming out of smoke, the way you've gone and like drawn them, and they're really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm I suppose a multidisciplinary artist. I make music and visual art, and I've done some performancy things as well, where well, it's hard to put to words. The parts of my drawing process that are very musical or performative are then sort of done in front of others. My art is almost a complete extension of my spiritual practice, and a means of engaging with it deeper, and I suppose an excuse to read stuff about ancient spirituality and archaeology, and deeper into the myths and surviving literature that informs my spirituality as well.
Where would you say, how did your spiritual journey start for you?
With a mental breakdown.
Excellent.
As I'm sure lots of people can resonate. I think any of us who are sort of between folks, who draw from other realms or are guided by things from across the way, whether we're witches or spirit workers or
whatever people choose to spiritually identify us.
Yeah, that we seem to all come from similar spaces, whether they're sort of prolonged ordeal paths or like breakdowns or mix of the two, that redesigns us and reorientates us. So my religiosity was always very focused on Taoism, and I think I felt very atheistic still. I think I was uncomfortable with religion and gods.
As a concept or an organisation?
I'm not sure. I think the Western mind has been so damaged by the church that we just don't want to go anywhere near religion, but we don't really interrogate that. And I think when we don't interrogate things, we miss a lot of wisdom, a lot of lessons. Because Taoism is completely a religion. And it's very common, you hear people sort of say, well, Buddhism or whateverism is more a spirituality than a religion, because we're not really immersed in it, maybe, or we don't, recognize certain things within it, its hierarchies, its deity worship or concepts of deity as being religion, because our framework for religion is cold stone and boring old men.
Brimstone and fire.
Yeah, that's the priests. Sorry, priests. So yeah, that was me, and then just before COVID happened, I started to unravel, and then COVID was sort of the final straw. But in the sort of mental wreckage and the loneliness, and in the mental wreckage and the loneliness, I reconnected with a lot of really good friends, and I started to experience trance in a way that I hadn't since I was quite young. I'd go into trance really easily. So I was trying to meditate to try and regulate my nervous system again and chill out a bit and reduce stress. Started to have visions and didn't really know what I was seeing or hearing or whatever else. And was never really drawn to any particular kind of... I never felt Celtic, I never felt Nordic, or whatever else, all these things that as a European we feed off of, and that make up our sort of maybe spiritual blueprints or psychological blueprints, if that's even a thing. And then I had an experience of Odin cutting my head off, which was great.
That sounds scary.
And walking around with my head, and lots of other things. And so, yeah, I started to look deeper into that sort of things. I had a little bit of understanding of Alpha from a friend of mine, but it felt very... I don't know, it wasn't for me. So I started to look at the original sources, Eddas, and whatever songs might be preserved, even though we don't have the melodies or anything. Started to use my drawing as a means of streamlining the trance experience, and ordering it and trying to understand it and reflect on my experiences. And out of that came runes as well, in a kind of almost dendromancy way, where you might... dendromancy is where you just like stare at branches. You can lie down on the ground and look up at them, or you can look at the markings in the bark of wood or in leaves, and let symbols come out at you.
During this podcast, I'm just learning about so many different types of divination.
Yeah, it's like endless. Like, can you look at it? Yes, it will talk to you. They're talking to me again. Oh, but I hope my necklaces get picked up.
Your necklaces are incredible. They are incredible. This might sound like a weird question. Do you go to sleep in those?
That's the most common question.
Is that just because it's I mean, they are amazing, but it's a lot. Just would worry that you choke yourself.
I only wear my Mjolnir and Celtic cross.
Okay.
And then the rest of them, my Tweed votive pendant goes on my altar.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, I take off.
How long does it take to put them on and off? Put them on and take them off.
Just grab them.
You just grab them on. You can just put. Can you just put them over your head?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's all right then. There's no clasps.
Yeah.
Oh, that's yeah. Otherwise that'd be a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to plot a significant amount of time every morning.
Yeah.
But I suppose morning workout.
What for your thumbs? Just on the clasps.
Yeah. Really. I was going to say muscular thumbs, but there's no muscles in, digits, are there?
No, just tendons.
It's a huge shame. I've got to have the buffest digits.
Really muscular. Okay.
I feel really sorry for everyone. It's just like the mental image of muscular digits. I've got to stop saying that.
Popeye hands. That's what I can think of now.
Whoops.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
what were we talking about?
Your necklaces. Yeah. Are they heavy?
Not really.
No. It's part.
But then I've worn them for years.
Yeah.
Or different combinations of them.
Yeah.
Because I used to be somewhat sort of semi-nomadic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I just found a way of carrying my altar on me.
Oh, that's so nice.
So I'd kind of hang on tree branches or door handles or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them have purpose.
Yeah, I was going to ask if they have like significant meaning.
Prayer beads, and these ones were my first runic project. They are runic prayer beads, I guess. They are the Anglo-Saxon Futhorc. I'm sure there's people listening who will know this, but you might come across in runic learning the words Futhark. They just describe the first couple of letters of the runic alphabet in the same way as alphabet is alpha and beta. Futhorc is the Anglo-Saxon as opposed to the Futhark of the elder and the elder Futhark, Proto-Germanic.
Okay.
So you've got Fer, Thorn, Os, Urad, and Ken. They were means of learning the runes and chanting them.
Mm-hmm.
And then that gets onto concepts of Galdar and stuff like that, which might be able to dive into later.
Yeah. What drew you to the runes?
I think they seem to just pop up. And they felt like a means of communication. It felt like it was one of the ways that deeper messages were being communicated to me. It felt like a way of navigating my life as well. Because for me, they also have a sort of sound and vibration to them, both in waking reality and in the spirit world. I often see them almost like make things up.
Yeah.
As if they are the building blocks of reality. And in my drawings, you can sort of see these almost like trickling threads of runes. I don't know if there's any immediate vantage point, but yeah. For me, they also it's like it's almost like they're chords, like guitar chords, and different ones having different making up a different chord and being plucked, and it's almost like this collaboration with reality as you're using them or
I like
listening to them or
just collaborating with reality.
Yeah. And of course in the mythology, in the Hallmark, which is the words of Odin, which is a fantastic and really remarkable text. It reads almost like the Dada Jing, and it's full of incredible wisdom in one part, and another part talks about the wisdom that Odin has and his experience as this like aspect of him, which is this spirit worker, shaman of sorts. And it's an odd word to use, but these esoteric parts of his character as a deity. And in one part where he sacrifices himself, this ordeal part that any sort of witch or whatever will be very familiar with, on the very brink of death in this sacrifice to himself, almost as the spirit worker deity, looks down into the ruins of Yggdrasil where he's hung himself and sees the runes, and that's how he retrieves the runes and would give them to humanity. And so I think, pulling on those threads, felt like it wove this intricate tapestry together.
With you being so drawn to Odin, how do you view him? Do you view him as a deity on his own, or do you see him as a father of the other sort of Viking gods, or like looking at that Viking mythology, what's in the Prose Edda and all like? Do you associate that him with that, or do you just kind of see him sort of in your own certain way, like however he's sort of come through to you?
Yeah, it's totally personal.
Yeah.
I suppose I would never call myself a Nordic pagan. I suppose heathen in some way might point roughly at whatever it is that's going on. I don't really know how to describe myself, but I'll call him Old Father sometimes. But the myths are myths. They're kind of funky stories in my mind. They're not sacred texts.
No.
Anyone who treats them as sacred texts or as the be all and end all of how we interact with the deities are not, in my opinion, going deep enough with it. And that's kind of like applying a lot of Christianized thinking to it.
Yeah. No
offense. We've all got our own paths and our own ways of interacting with these things. There's a lot of interesting stuff in the myths, but they were written by Christian monks, recorded by Christian monks, or they were recorded by, even the older ones, recorded by Romans, with their own cultural backgrounds and their own biases and their own things that they're wanting to say about pre-Christian deities. And I think a lot of Hellenists will mirror this with how they think Zeus is depicted, and how that aligns with the lived experience of the gods. We're modern people, and we're living, now, and I think all animisms and all paganisms are lived spiritualities. We don't have set sacred spaces where you can just go and, we bring the sacred with us.
Yeah.
When we connect with the sacred in every space we go to. So, what I mean by that is that, or where I'm going with that, is that the gods are not encapsulated in history. We're not Vikings.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Well, I've done much reading recently. How's the reading season for you? The even to those living in the Iron Age, Scandinavia, during the so-called Viking era, would have different interactions with the deities and different concepts of them than the Indo-Europeans would with the deities that would become Odin and Woden to the Anglo-Saxons. And the Anglo-Saxons would have different interactions to their Norse cousins. So, I think the lived experience with deities and letting... God, it's so hard to even
I think you're articulating it very well.
That's paramount. There's, I suppose, certain motifs that are still there, that might have this sort of medieval, dress them up in certain medieval things in my brain. But often it's sort of feels very much now, and not decided by medieval literature. Or, I mean, he feels dangerous.
He sounds. Well, I mean, if you're having visions of him,
Freya does as well.
Yeah, she's a badass.
And
she's the goddess of love and war. So, like, you don't want to piss her off.
no, indeed, yeah, indeed. I think the myths might and do point at something about them. But yeah, the lived experience of them tells you more, and
how would you say that your spirituality has evolved? Is it very different? Well, I'm going to say is it very different? It probably is compared to where you were in lockdown, compared to where you are now, because hopefully you're in a healthier, happier, more peaceful place.
Yeah.
And you were feeling like a lot of us were very lonely and isolated, but having either audible or visual hallucinations is very, very scary. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've developed a framework. And I understand them more. I've always had a healthy level of self-skepticism. I suppose skepticism broadly, which has meant I come at it with this sort of almost like research as a historian is really important. But yeah, not taking everything I'm feeling and seeing immediately as sort of gospel.
Yeah.
But letting it speak for itself, and I suppose coming from an atheistic or not believing in any sort of deity. Originally.
Do you look at things from quite a rational, try and rationalise it? Is that what you mean before you?
So, but also not to narrativize it and then, stop the learning process in its tracks as a result. And not making my religious experiences or my spiritual experiences dogma.
Yeah.
And thereby you sort of like unconsciously stop everything coming in that doesn't fit that dogma anymore. So it's been allowed to evolve fluidly.
Yeah.
It's flowed fluidly. Yeah, ADHD is crap. I'm not actually listening to myself.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's been. I think for a long time, I felt completely immersed in the Northern European elements. What I was experiencing was going beyond the Nordic, and sometimes even like further back. So I got really interested in elements or evidence for spiritualities in the Indo-Europeans or even further back into like prehistory, and then you end up kind of triangulating with the folklore and the myths and the archaeology on some really interesting things, like Freya's falcon feather cloak that helps her shapeshift and as a result travel the realms or whatever else, and then you see burials of clearly female spirit workers with their religious artifacts, whatever else, with evidence of having worn feathers of some kind. And then you see the even contemporary European sort of like the which ones? things also have those shamanic, where we actually get the word shaman from, Mongol,
Mongolian.
Yeah, and some other,
well, like tribes, like when tribes, like shamans or spiritual people, and
sort of like, sort of,
feathered cloaks.
Oh,
the feathered headdresses, like the Native Americans.
These and these things carried on, and you see these lineages that can take you back and forth and all sorts of things, and so being able to traverse those lineages and those threads and try and understand what it was I was feeling and seeing meant it expanded beyond the Nordic, into maybe older shared pre-Christian
beliefs.
And obviously not claiming any of them.
No,
because a lot of them end up being very culturally specific, but trying to understand what it was I was feeling and seeing, and then rooting it. Where I am. I suppose the Celtic as well, dealing with Morrigan and other things like that, and being Cornish. Although we don't have much at all of pre-Christian Cornish stuff, unless I'm completely wrong there.
So it's interesting you say that, because I did a podcast recording with Dr. Rebecca Beattie on Imolc, and she was talking about Cornish deities and how, I have to go back and listen to it, but about how historians and researchers are trying to find the Cornish deities and what their names were, and I think she mentioned something about maybe it was a River Tamar and how that is associated with the Cornish deity and a goddess. I can't quite remember. But she said that people are trying to find it and dig it up. And
the toponyms are the best place to start, I suppose. And I remember reading one of Gemma Gary's books about theories around Bucca. And whether that goes further back to a concept of spirit, overarching spirit, which you find in all Indo-European and further afield.
I
think the thing that really evolves anyone's spirituality is letting the external story unravel, as it will, and that will drag you back and forth, as I say, with researching different lineages and the archaeology. I think the science is really important. And I think the anthropology is really important. I think there's this really great acronym in heathenry, which is UPG, Unverifiable Personal Gnosis, which I think is a great guiding force. It sort of tells you your experience isn't the be-all and end-all. But where you can see it mirrored in the external world, in shared experience, in archaeology, in science, in history, and the surviving literature, will help decide what is true and real, and of course that can change and evolve as well. And I think one of the big things for me in the last couple of years was the role that Christianity had in preserving a lot of pre-Christian animistic thinking, or whatever else, with mysticism. I suppose Judaism and Islam also played a role in this, with Kabbalah, and or even just like something as obvious as priests preserving grimoires. The Icelandic was purely preserved because of priests. I'm sure people can correct me. I'm happy to be corrected on anything. But a lot of it is pagan Christian. I've got I wear a cross, which has a really unique stave on it, which is a votive stave for both Freya and the Virgin Mary. And so it comes from a place where it was far more complex than I suppose our historical memory tells us, or the narratives around Christians coming in and sort of pulling everyone into Christianity. I think there's clearly times where they both coexisted or they blended, and loads of witchcraft uses psalms and so I think those bits where we're tested by history and the historical realities rather than historical myth can teach us a lot more. I don't think I could ever call myself Christian.
No.
I don't believe in the Christian model of deity. I'm a polytheist, and that does not go down well with the Almighty. He's a very jealous, very jealous chap, clearly. But the writings of Christian mystics. I think there's some hidden gems in there, particularly about interaction with the divine, about whatever you want to call it. The writings of Quakers is really interesting. The Beguines.
I've heard of Quakers, not Beguines.
The Beguines were really important for me in my because there was a period maybe 2 years ago where I wasn't doing spell work, I wasn't doing much trance work. It felt like I was being guided away from that for a bit. That freaked me out because I was like, how am I supposed to talk to the deities? How am I supposed to make sense of what I feel? And it was just that there was another thing to experience, another level of it. Yeah. And I had a really strong religious experience in Hereford Cathedral, where I suppose almost pagan symbology in the tiling and whatever else that was co-opted sort of almost shimmer at me. I had this sense of deity that felt very singular, and trying to work out what the hell that was. And I was like, oh crap, am I a Christian?
What am I? It sounds like having an identity crisis. It's like a spiritual one.
Yeah. And I you get that feeling of betraying your own deities, and so that started me on this whole other almost tangent. And Loki and Morrigan were the ones that really pushed me, I felt, towards exploring that. I was like, okay, well, if they're telling me these deities that trick you and constantly trip up your ego and your concept of spiritual self and your concept of faith, and constantly teasing you and prodding you, if they're telling me, then maybe I should go for it. And I was just let myself be open. And the Beguines were really interesting. The Beguines were medieval lay women.
Lay women?
Yeah, lay women. So lay people are those who follow very religious lifestyles, whatever their culture is or whatever their religious backgrounds are, but don't take vows.
Right.
So they lived very religious lives. They lived almost as nuns, but they weren't nuns. They didn't take any vow into a particular I'm not sure what they'd be called, but they didn't become Carmelites or whatever. They didn't follow a particular path and become nuns. But they would have very ecstatic visions, and they'd write really sexy poetry and really sexy songs about Christ. And there was a lot of gender swapping, and it's kinky as heck.
They'd write sexy poetry and songs about Christ. You said, as in Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because they'd also swap their own gender in the voice that was going. Yeah, it gets wild.
I want to meet these women.
And sadly, I think the last one died in I want to say 2012 or something. But I'm sure given the way history sort of goes, there wouldn't. Yeah, might be revival. I don't know. But you end up in Europe with these women getting together and living together and buying homes together because they were clearly really straight. as well.
Sapphic poetry and songs.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, they left society and lived together. They must have been really good friends.
Really, yeah, like sisters. Yeah.
They left everything to one another in their wills. Wowee. Such good friends. Yeah, and then like some of them ended up almost like entire little villages.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd taken women who were kicked out of home for premarital sex or having an opinion or
just having a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Witchcraft.
Yeah.
She made an executive decision. Oh no.
Burn her.
And then teaching them a trade and teaching them how to write. And so they'd also not only become safe havens and sort of centres of
community,
spirituality, and they'd have chapels as well.
Yeah.
Built. They become really important centres of trade.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those things that I think paganism always tells us as well, that there's no sacred and profane, there's no like the spiritual gets into everything. It's in how we work, it's in how we parent, it's in how we love. Not only how we worship and how we, put herbs in jars and dance around in front of the moon.
Just putting your cinnamon in coffee in the morning and stirring your intention into it. Yeah.
There's no divide. And yeah, so these women were hugely influential for me. I suppose going back to that lived spirituality. And they would go on to inspire Meister Eckhart, who is a name that people are more familiar with in comparison to the Beguines. But yeah, without the Beguines, you wouldn't have Meister Eckhart's writings and his sort of most rebellious side of things, wanting to, put the gospel into vernacular, not into some esoteric language that no one could really understand, but making it understandable for the masses. And I suppose also with the runes, they have a lot of Christian stuff in them, the rune poems. So I don't use Ralph Bloom's book,
right,
which is where a lot of the runes as divination come from today. I go off of the rune poems as much as I can. So you've got the Anglo-Saxon rune poem, the Norwegian rune poem, and the Icelandic. So
this is going to be a teaching moment for me because I brought my runes in today, and funnily enough, we both had the same book on runes, which was very good coincidence. But these were gifted. Oh my God, I'm so clumsy.
It's my fault for having if I had a health and safety inspector come in, they would walk in, cry, and then jump out the nearest window.
For my listeners, I'm sat in Ralph's awesome art studio, but I'm a very clumsy person, and there is a wire hanging down to my left, and I have all of my books and stuff on a chair behind me, and I just keep knocking the wire, so the ceiling's probably going to cave in at some point. I'm really sorry.
Well,
very clumsy. What was I saying?
By Tudor
It's how I want to go. It's fine. So yeah, this is a teaching moment for me because I've always been aware of runes, and I was gifted these by it's really interesting. So I was gifted these by my friend's partner, and he worked in a charity shop, and he would sometimes get things that he could take home, and he saw these and thought, Freya's gonna love this. Bless him. So these are the runes that I was gifted, and then I ended up getting that book, and then I didn't really do much else with them. I'm not gonna lie, I just haven't had the time to really look into them. So I thought, whilst I was here, you could tell me a little bit about not what each symbol means, because I haven't got the time, but what a few sort of symbols mean, and how these would be used, or how we can still use them now.
So the logic behind contemporary rune divination is that you'll have these individual stones with the runes carved into them or burnt into them, and that you'll grab them from the bag and cast them, or you might, as I do, because the rune divination, personally for myself, guides or streamlines the trance experience I'm usually going through at the same time. I'll put my hand in the bag and hover my hand over them and feel for cold or pain or heat or electricity, whatever, and grab that. But there's some historical writings. I think Ibn Fadlan talked about it a little bit of watching these Horus, Swedes, casting lots. So there's a little bit of sort of historical accuracy there, but not enough really to say what was carved on them, or if they were runes, or how they were used, or whatever. But yes, we have, I assume, elder. Yeah, you can sort of tell the yada, which is year, which is the two of the like boomerang shapes facing one another. Is year, and so it's like this spinning sort of turning of the seasons. The Anglo-Saxons drew it differently with taking my rune necklace off, stave down the centre, and then the two boomerangs sort of meeting, mirroring one another either side. These little bones coming out either side. And yeah, so you can interpret that as that broader seasonal cycle. Of course, they measured time with the moon, so I'm sure that probably came into it as well.
Yeah.
Some more lunar calendars, and the Mani, the deity, was Othla, which is time teller. So you could interpret it that way. There's also like coming back to collaboration. You collaborate with that close listening.
Yeah.
To the yearly cycles, so that your crops don't go to shit, so that your family's well fed, that they're looked after in the wintertime, that they're sort of, so if it comes up in a reading, you could feel all these complex narratives, I suppose.
Some of these look like letters in our English alphabet. So that one, well, to me, that looks like an F. And then that one looks like a B. And then we've got an A. And if you squint, maybe that could be an N or an H, depending. Yeah, X.
Yeah, the history of them as runes, as letters is really interesting.
We've got an hourglass.
Yeah.
And look at that. It almost looks like a Christian fish sign.
You've got what looks like an M there.
An M, yeah.
But that's
P.
That's AWAS.
AWAS.
But it's and the P is Wunyo, so W. So that's E or E or W or in Othla. Ingwas. Yeah, it gets complex. That's the F.
I can almost see that. Yeah.
Fair, depending on which one you're reading. Manas, that's the H, the Victor is Hagalas. Berkana, birch. Birch is stunning, and it's got some really interesting sort of threads to pull on with birch goddesses.
Like the tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the oldest.
You've got silver birches out there.
Yeah. And I think it's what's called a colonizer tree. Maybe there's different ecological languages as well that call it something more precise, but where it's often the first tree to grow, I think, in and sort of almost organise an environment for other trees. And birch clearly being a really important deity. Some of the oldest female deities were birch tree spirits or birch goddesses.
So if someone wanted to get started with runes, if someone like me was gifted a beautiful bag of runes and I've never used them, what would you suggest would be the best way for them to sort of get started if they wanted to learn how to use them?
It's difficult. So for a lot of rune workers, each rune is a spirit.
Okay.
You need to get to know.
Yeah.
And so come at it with respect and patience as you would any other spirit. And anyone working in any kind of witchcraft knows the dangers of not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And also like grounding and protecting yourself as well.
Yeah. Yeah. They all want to be used in very particular ways.
Okay.
So I use them beyond divination in spell work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just mark runes on things.
No.
Because you've got to have a relationship with that rune. And sort of using its energy without thinking or without, assuming that it's got a willpower of its own. Is at best not polite and at worst dangerous.
Would you say that people commonly get runes and sigils mixed up?
Yes, they can't just be used, and you can't write English with them.
No.
It makes no sense. They've got particular sounds that belong to the particular languages they come from. Anglo-Saxon runes used for Anglo-Saxon. But there are ways that you can break them down and get to know them as a story.
Okay.
And so they are cyclic almost. They start with probably the most internal and the most spiritual, and then gradually externalize themselves into like the world around us, and then particularly with the Anglo-Saxon come to really deathly runes, and then nothingness, and then almost rebirth. So if I was to take these away and go to the last rune in the Elderfithag, which is Darkaz. I'm not quite fluffing some of this. I thought like
it's a teaching moment for me.
So I'm going, I haven't swatted up on this.
You could be saying anything right now.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, but there will be people listening who are going, I'm not sure. That's not true. So the last one is Dargaz, which is like day and dawn. Or it can sometimes be written as Othala as the last one, so it depends. And then going back to the beginning with Fehu. But they are broken into 8s, which I've marked with a particular bead each time there.
These are really beautiful.
Thank you. So the first one is the 8 of, often called the 8 of Freya, or Freya.
That's so funny because my I was born on the 8th.
Really? That's cool.
I was born on International Women's Day.
That's badass. That's heck. So yeah, you can interrogate that as her lettering. It's all about like Fehu is wealth, but can often be felt by rune workers as like the golden thread.
Yeah.
Of like internal.
Yeah.
Wealth and internal value that can never be taken from you at all, and once you connect with that, it's like an endless power source. It's wealth because it's the cow's horns, and cattle was a form of wealth and measuring wealth. Urus, which is like after the an ancient oxen, urox. And so like almost like primal bestial groundedness and strength.
Okay.
Fun to go with that. Dawn is often connected to giants and their existence in the natural world, and then sort of progresses from there. The 8 of Heimdall, starting with Haglas or Hagel. The runate of Tweer, in with T, and then with the Anglo-Saxon you have this final addition of other letters.
Yeah.
So breaking them down and going through each 8, starting at the beginning and go through it as a story, as a narrative of sort of internal and then going external and then coming back in and probably going back and forth.
Yeah.
Breathing.
Yeah.
Is a great way of engaging with them slowly, because, anyone working with any kind of divination is suddenly faced with an entire pack of tarot cards or an entire set of Orm Fuse or an entire set of runes. All of them look like nothing you know. So just break it down. Be intimate with it.
Yeah.
And the runes will respect you for that. There's some literature that says they want blood.
Oh, okay.
I don't know whether we want to cover that.
We can cover blood.
I think it's important.
I mean, I already covered blood with my wound healer episode, so we can cover blood.
Personally, I'm not.
I mean, I'm not, advocating or encouraging anyone to self-harm or seriously hurt themselves.
No. Which is why I want to cover it, because anyone who reads about runes deeply will come across literature that says the runes will want you to cut yourself or jab yourself.
Yeah.
But we can maybe word this in a different way that's less triggery. But yeah, some people will say that the runes want life blood or whatever, and that it's vital, and that puts a fair number of people off. Mm-hmm. Again, we don't live in the Viking Age. If the gods can contact us without us having to sacrifice things, it's fine.
Yeah.
Integrity.
We've moved on.
Yeah, integrity is important, and what is in your heart is important, and
staying safe.
Staying safe, and if anything wants you to damage yourself physically or emotionally or mentally, you should question it. It's if your healing process is being said to need those things, then it's not a healing process. The runes are there to help us as the gods, and so be patient with yourself as you're learning about runes. Be patient with the runes. They might not come immediately, but one of the most fulfilling things about any kind of divination, including the runes, if you're using them for divination purely, is that their secrets are never immediately
revealed.
Revealed to you. And so you might be working with tarot or oracle cards for years.
Yeah.
Then suddenly do a reading where you're interacting with a card in a totally new way. And it's the same with the runes, and with the rune poems as well, and other people's interpretation of them, and feeling them out, and the folklore of the runes that might not be entirely encapsulated in the rune poems. Especially when you read old inscriptions, or where you might see a rune suddenly repeated. Makes you wonder why they repeated that rune, or why they built them on top of one another. You see these little tree symbols, so it's like triple Tiwaz runes.
Yeah.
And then you apply that to your reading of them the next time. So there's no masters. We're just all students at the different levels and different paths, places in the path.
So when I find the time, I will have to. Yeah, it sounds like it sounds really interesting. We all just live such very busy lives. It's finding the time to commit to it, because it is And they are, yeah, it's learning. And I love learning. I really do. But sometimes living in a modern world, life gets in the way, and then I wouldn't be able to commit to it as much as I would like to.
I think we've all got that.
Yeah.
There's so many things that I want to do more and incorporate more into my practice that I can't.
Yeah.
Reading is hard, and reading well is hard, and doing anything with what you've read is hard. And yeah, I think because there's no authority as well, especially early on, you're looking for some kind of authority and some sort of scaffold, some sort of safety net, or something to break this fall that you're having. And you go to, everyday spell books or whatever else that you can find available to you. And I had that with the runes, and trying to, end up looking for masters, I suppose, and authorities on it. And that I think makes the digestion of what you're reading slower, maybe, or but we don't live in a culture where we have any set master.
No,
I hope.
Well,
I mean, I don't know, but
people want to be
spiritually thinking. So people want they want to be the gurus, and they want to have
that's when I think things can start to get a little bit dangerous.
Absolutely.
And then we end up, in a cult.
Yeah.
Which I do like to joke about very often, but in all seriousness, they are dangerous.
Finding community is important.
Yeah.
But I think periods of loneliness
and vulnerability,
are important for you to find embodiment and health that you can then take more authentically to communities of similarly embodied and healthy people who will support you and you support them. But we don't live in a society where there's like a lineage where some established spirit worker or ritual leader will identify you and go, "You're my next one. I'm going to take you on and teach you all these things." And we don't have that. We have to go with what the Spirit's telling us and what the gods are telling us, and what little bits we can glean that resonate with us from other people's stories and other people's writings. But we don't. Maybe that's a luxury.
What are your thoughts on then covens, particularly Wiccan covens? But they have a hierarchy, don't they? There is a hierarchy, and there is like a high priest and a high priestess. Yeah. What's sort of your views on those? Because they do come and teach,
like genuinely not harming anyone.
Yeah,
it's fine. Yeah. But I think we're also going through a spiritual revolution. More and more people are disillusioned with what we've culturally inherited. The folk revival has boomed.
Yes.
Particularly in Cornwall, where that's also coupled with decolonisation and I suppose allyship and like the politics of folk. But I think spiritually speaking, I think there's kind of like a far more kind of animistic thing where there's less of a framework, less of a pagan framework or neo-pagan framework, and more of a where I live framework, if that makes any sense. People that attending local wassails, people making their own rituals that are sometimes not even consistent or the same, but they come from engagement with the world around them and with spirit. They might not have any particular text or any particular step-by-step guide, like maybe paganism has had.
Some paganism.
Some paganism, and if that speaks to you, if Wicca and those particular frameworks are important, tools for externalizing your spirituality, and engaging with the divine or doing spell work or whatever, or affecting change in your life, cool.
Yeah.
There's no like I genuinely don't think there's any right or wrong.
No.
As long as you're doing no harm.
Yes.
To yourself and others.
Yeah.
Because there is such a broad range of experience and broad range of human spiritual needs, and things out there that will meet them for you.
Yeah. I have a sister circle, and then I also go to the ladies that meet us at South Devon, and it's very eclectic there. So we have like witch choir, and then we have the tarot cafe, and there will be workshops. The a herbalist come in and do workshops on herbs, and we'll have Dr. Rebecca Beattie come in, and she will do the Wheel of the Year, and she's also does planetary magic lectures as well. And it's just a nice eclectic mix of like-minded people coming together and exploring their magic and spirituality and intuition without it being an organised concept, which is really lovely. Yeah. And it's mostly, I mean, we do have some men come in, don't get me wrong, but it's mainly women, so which is really, it feels like a very nice safe space as well. And
it's vital. I'm non-binary, so I have a sort of different gender experience, but the rise of matriarchal structure and matriarchal spirituality and the authority that I think women probably, or people who sit in non-normative gender identities have. It kind of feels like if I was to narrativize it, and I suppose people kind of do with concepts of starseed and age of Aquarius and all this kind of thing. To put it in maybe a different way, it feels like an old world is dying, and maybe with it, not dying, but maybe with it, old magic and religious spiritualities kind of need to evolve. As all of that is evolving and dying, new frameworks are being set up that looking back to the ancient in a way, or looking back to the pre-Christian, and the pillars of that framework, which are women, are there. And I think there's ways that those spaces can kind of look outward and be inviting to people of any gender. But I think also having that space for women to, I don't know what I'm bloody talking about. It feels like I should have no opinion on this, but I suppose just as an ally, and many of my female friends, who are witches and spirit workers, their practices and their lives and their well-being has drastically changed because of women's communities having those spaces to re-energize one another and heal one another and just have a cup of tea sometimes, or to like genuinely just weep for a bit and throw stuff around and get all drapery, if that's a word.
I want to bring back red tent parties, and I think it should be a law that whenever it's our time of the month, we have to have time off and go to a red tent and just chill with our women and just cry for about 3 days, eat a load of chocolate, and then come back out feeling a little bit better. And I get paid for being off for that. That would be great.
Surrounded by hot water bottles.
And blankets. And fairy lights. And
punch bag. This is actually going somewhere, being channeled into emotion and behaviour. Whereas men kind of just go, oh, I'm just going to quake. just going to stiff up a lip it until I do something awful. Until I drastically negatively change the world around me. No offence to men. Oh dear.
But I just think his history shows, it is the dictators that have been and that are scary and violent and oppressive and controlling the male.
And then that kind of gets codified as well. And that's the insidious thing. And I found that really difficult with Odin as this chief deity.
He's quite divine masculine, right?
I don't know if I really believe in him,
but like
he's been positioned
deity.
Yeah, like even in ancient history, if you're just looking at it as a historical thing, he's the patron of kings and jarls, and so it was immediately politicized. Like, just because it's not Christian doesn't mean it doesn't have these really difficult, toxic politicizations. Is that a word?
Let's make it a word. Yeah, make it a word.
Yeah. English is sorely lacking. So it is ADHD people to fill in the gaps. But yeah, I'm writing a Substack at the moment, which is going very, very slowly because I'm wanting it to be sort of accessible, but also academically rigorous. And often when you're looking at even like any sort of spiritual stuff, you're like, where's the sources?
Yeah.
So did you just make it up? You made huge claims about an ancient society without any like evidence behind it.
Yeah, but don't I feel like the Christian church has done that in a way?
Oh yeah, like humans do it. It's a human trait.
Yeah.
But yeah, Odin, in my mind, is also super queer. So you get this archetype of this aggressive, dictatorial man. And in the myths in particular, he's, afraid of Ragnarok, and he's wanting to shape the world around him to change fate, and he's doomed to do that. And he
Gloria doesn't really work alongside him. She has her own thing going on, and she's very can't tell me what to do.
Yeah,
I'm going to have half of the wounded soldiers and have them in my Viking hall.
Yeah. But then also he gets magic. He gets Seder from her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how much the gods themselves are actually well represented in the mythology. Who knows? We all, all of these things are lenses on something bigger than the cultural frameworks they come from. But yeah, Odin's so complex that there is this archetype which I don't really think fits him from my experience of the chief deity, the god of the gods. And then there's all these weird, wibbly wobbly, queer things. It's almost like the deities are made powerful by what is queering them. Queer, the sort of god of war.
Yeah.
That means all of them are gods of war in one way or another. Without his sword hand. Odin is this god of magic who can't travel the realms, and the same with Freya as well, can't travel the realms without some use of tools, whereas Thor can just go where the hell he wants with his goat chariot.
Freya has a chariot of cats.
Yes.
And she has her cloak.
She has her cloak, but this is the thing,
and she
Thor seems to be able to just walk off.
Odin. Magic.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So maybe it's
sorry, I'm just a massive fan, obviously.
I'm a big fan. I've watched all the episode. But the gods you'd think wouldn't need.
No.
Thor can just walk off. And be in the realm of Loki. Beating the crap out of someone and drinking in the sea.
But Odin's quite restricted.
Odin needs spells and to some extent, Freya does as well. But I suppose maybe that's where innate ability also needs the work.
Yeah.
And needs the skills, his skill acquisition. But Odin is taunted in a particular poem by Loki for being a magic user as a man. And so, yeah, he's taunted as being ergi, but that's like a whole other thing. I don't know if we've got time to go to, where he's sort of called unmanly for doing this, for using magic. He gets it from women. He goes to Earth, dresses as a woman to practice magic. Which immediately pulls the rug out from under this ultra male dictatorial archetype. And reveals a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Not only about who set up those sort of probably political archetypes, but also the magic of gender.
Yeah.
And the magic of breaking those gender boundaries. And like some of my earliest experiences of Odin, his body was very much obscured with robes and things like that, and he wore all sorts of really particular accessories, I suppose. And there's a very interesting statuette, the Odin of Leda, or Leda, hopefully pronounced that correctly. I'm sure someone can
No, I don't think I have many Scandinavian listeners.
Oh, fair. Okay.
So, I mean, because I could
me to be responsible as a human being to find out how to pronounce things. But he's shown with a mix of women's clothing, and he's got very particular tortoise brooches, which would connect. You often see this. They hold up your cloak, but also have this really beautiful and intricate sort of necklaces. Really specific gendered clothing worn by this ultra kingly king of the gods that Viking bros want to sort of yell skull at. And then I think that's the magic in all of this. It dismantles previous frameworks, and that's the magic of Loki and any other trickster deity, or deity of kind of destruction. Or energy of destruction. It dismantles things, dismantles your ego, dismantles what you thought you knew.
Yeah.
And gives you fertilizer for the next phase of your journey.
Yeah. You said that you come from an atheist background. Is there anyone that you're aware of in your family, like not immediate family members, but who are spiritual like yourself, or dabbled with things like spirituality or witchcraft or divination?
Not to my knowledge. My mum can be very spiritual. I don't know where she sort of identifies herself. There are times she feels very connected to angels and things like that, but that's sort of gone in and out. So I think, I'm not sure. Haven't really spoken to her about it. She enjoys making tinctures.
Cool.
And was never particularly happy with sharing those secrets, which in my experience indicates a sort of secret magical lineage. From what I know.
Do you have a brother? Do you have any sisters?
No, not a sister I'm related to. But it's something I've noticed. My mum's background is Irish, and I think it's sort of a mix of other things. That sometimes seems to be the case in migrant families, where or people who migrate, they end up sort of with other migrants and some Jews and Italians or sort of things like they did in London. But it's one thing I've noticed with the Cornish side of things, with Pellercraft and Pellership, where they won't cross gender boundaries. And I wonder where that comes from, given like really ancient examples of people who sort of queered those boundaries being seen as closer to the divine, or whether that's women not womening properly because they didn't want to do X, Y, and Z. They wanted to hubble bubble, toil and trouble, and then going, I don't want to marry, I want to frolic. And then going, fine, here's some runes and some really important social things about helping the crops grow and leading our rituals, you queer. this complex relationship of taboo and respect, which I think witches will know well.
With gender identity and with you not being in the binary and being very, very spiritual, and just talking about taboo and people, people's opinions. Where do you find yourself in the community of spirituality, and do you have a circle, and do you feel like, because it is heavily female based, isn't it?
Yeah, all of my friends are female.
Yeah.
Or trans women.
Mm-hmm. Trying to word that question as sensitively as possible.
I know,
coming from like curiosity, not from a
but also like the womanhood of it.
Yeah.
Whether they are cis or trans is important. And most of my friends are also foreign, and so their expressions of femininity are different from one another.
Yeah.
So like my Polish witchcraft friends, totally different sort of feminine energy to like my Cornish friends. And then, individually, like femininity isn't or masculinity is not a set, constant, universal constant. It's flowing all the time. And so I think that's why it's not like I disagree with it, but I don't connect with concepts of divine masculine, divine feminine, because it's like
a spectrum, and you can just go.
So being, I mean, I think I've got one man friend.
One friend.
Well, because if I say male,
no, I know what you mean.
Like, that's the second side of things. But one witch friend of mine who is a man, and he's an older gentleman, and even then, regularly doesn't come across a very manly energy at all. Even though he's a father and he's like an Axis Mundi, as I'm sure literally all spirit workers and witches are in their communities and their families and for themselves. I'm not sure where I sit. I think that's why I've been so interested when I discovered this queer element of Odin and the queer element of Loki as well. And I suppose Freya as well, to a certain degree, of being like, very feral. Yeah. And feral doesn't do well in the social duties that are given anyone, let alone women. And the gods aren't women, and they're not men. They don't have the same, but maybe they do, who knows. They don't have these same sort of societal expectations. That's the mythological thing that we place on top of it. But it's very difficult to be a prim and proper woman if you're stripping off and
hate to be a prim and proper
and wobbling about in a bog or something, or dancing in a fire. That's and that feral womanhood and it is clearly an important part of it. That not doing womanhood properly is what made women the target of witchcraft accusations, and not doing manhood properly and whatever. I suppose that's where I come from. I've never been. I've tried my best, but it turns out when you're looking up how to be a man, that's not a good sign.
I feel like these days it's a bit of a dangerous road to go down with the manosphere.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That stuff. Scary.
And these are traditional male roles that are only about maybe 70 years old at best. And there's important dynamics that happen maybe naturally with people, and if that means a lot to you and affirms your gender as a man or as a woman, if you're feral, and then I have friends who still are deeply feral in some way, but have had a child, and then all of a sudden finding motherhood archetypes and grandmotherhood archetypes really, really important, whether that's in the deities or in the communities that gather around them as a person who's just had a child. Yeah, that's incredible, because nothing's ever constant. With me, to me, I don't know. I think my betweenness is really important for my spirituality. My betweenness makes me cross over. It positions me at a between worlds, whether that's spirit realms or between communities. And I've got all sorts of, my feet are in all sorts of different communities, and I'm very lucky to have a very broad social network over the southwest, and further afield. But I think it allows me deep, genuine, nurturing friendships with women in ways that I don't think could happen if I was just cis. Not that I can resonate with what they feel as women. I won't call myself a woman. I'm not a woman, and obviously can't understand their physiological things. Whatever. It's like,
you could, if you wanted to. You could get a TENS machine and see how.
I would actually love that. And to be honest, I think it should be mandatory.
What, for every man to experience period pains?
Yes. By the way, you're getting married, are you?
Yeah.
Step this way, please. Because you're going to be so much nicer to be around. She's nodding her head. I think there's something unique about my energy that I can't speak to, but others sort of have commented on a certain peacefulness and a certain nurturing quality, or just something that's unique about me that sits in either camp, and has a camp of its own, maybe. And I have been around some of my witchy friends when they've had a particularly difficult period where that aligns with a particular spiritual episode, and kind of just being there, and it is important. And my energy seems to just be part of a complex betweenness and liminality that I think you see in all spiritualities around the world. And that's why I'm writing the current Substack, because I think it's affirmation for myself, but also saying one of the oldest expressions of spirituality is this kind of betweenness that we find in Norden, that we find in Norki, that we find cross-culturally as well, in all of their own unique expressions, but also breaking this binary, whether it's Judaism having sort of like 9 other genders, and the more extreme this other genderedness is, the closer it is to a sense of like being angelic, as far as I'm aware. I need to do more reading into that to confirm that. I think that's as it's been explained to me, or sort of betweenness being one and the same as having shamanic ability, or Buddhist diviners being queer in some way and trans in their own way. I think the Hidra in India have a history of being sort of seers as well. And of course, Two-Spirit people in Indigenous America existing in this space, and then maybe trying to understand things in terms of the divine feminine, the divine masculine, kind of bypasses that between space and doesn't notice that it probably goes back and forth through it, or even if those things exist, sort of unified by that betweenness. And one of my favourite runes is Yor, and it connects to Jormungandr, the world serpent, being in this between space between Midgard and the other ones. And I've read that there's some interesting folklore around it as being about snakes, and also about otters.
I love otters.
Who were not understood clearly by Anglo-Saxons, because they thought there was maybe some sort of sea serpent sort of thing crossing the boundary between land and water. And so it's Jormungandr having no sex or no gender, or being complicated in that realm, along with Loki and many of Loki's children, like Jormungandr, has a lot of connotations of gender queering, and is an interesting rune to meditate on if you are queer, or are liminal in some way, a hedge witch, or just crossover regularly.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting rune. It's a single stave with like an X at the top.
It's almost like a stir.
Yeah.
Do you want to very quickly touch on your music?
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
you are like the music man.
I try. If I could just like be covered in instruments.
Like Bert in Mary Poppins.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. Folk culture is so complex because it moves. And, where you start with language, you suddenly come across culinary culture and cuisine, and then it moves to local herb knowledge, and then it moves to medicine, folk medicine, and then it moves to all sorts of things. But music for me has been a way of unifying a lot of that.
Yeah.
Where, particularly using Cornish in some songs, or playing Cornish folk music. It connects me to Cornish dance, which I do a lot. I'm proud Norse Lowen dancer.
Is that so I've seen some of that. Is it like a ceilidh?
Yeah.
People who don't know what Cornish dance is.
Yeah. So it's a community dance thing. Unlike a ceilidh, there are leaders instead of a caller.
Yeah.
And I do some of the leading in Falmouth in particular. It can be very trancy. It's very similar to Breton Fest Noz, in that there's a lot of like serpent dancing. So the leader at the beginning, you hold hands, you sort of just follow the steps that the leader is doing. But yeah, music has been a way of connecting to that. But then also, I suppose history as well, historical songs, and then how they're sort of getting new life breathed into them. They were written down and they stagnated and, stopped evolving as folk should. Folk should always, or is always, in the here and now, which is probably why it's so elusive, and is all things and no thing in particular.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am probably a traditional folk musician, but I enjoy adding something new or letting the songs be different each time. I enjoy the community element of it immensely, and folk sessions. But also the magic of music, because it has been a way of doing things regardless of how anxious, like cripplingly anxious I can be about things, and going and sitting in a pub with a load of people I don't know and doing something very exposing, even though I don't really know how it's going to go, and knowing that it's going to be crap. And folk music is extremely forgiving as well.
You might be thinking it's going to be crap, but the audience who are aware of it,
for sure,
might think it's incredible. Yeah.
But it doesn't need to sound like a virtuoso violinist. I probably chose the worst instrument as a perfectionist to play, the fiddle.
How many instruments do you play? Because
a couple.
You play quite,
mandolin's basically the fiddle.
Yeah.
On its side, I'm sure there's lots of mandolin players who go, it's a lot more complex than that. And it is. Like, there's a load of other things that are totally different to the fiddle that, the fingering is basically the same. I play the guitar, tin whistles, saxophone.
Here's the whole band.
Yeah. Probably just like a tin whistle stuck up my nose, saxophone, fiddle on my and strumming the guitar with my feet. So it's been magical, and has the whole thing of it not being expected to be fantastic, unless someone is unreasonable, has given way to this sort of thought of anything worth doing is worth doing badly. And then you can go from there. You know, if it's really worth getting into, it's worth doing really poorly to begin with.
But
if it is,
but you're like when you're beginning, do it,
and it's going to be a mess. And I think I felt that very much watching some folk musicians, really professional folk musicians, who tour and have albums and all that, and have this very curated thing that you see, and then you go and see them live, and they fuck up, and you go, oh, okay. I can do the same. I can fuck up as well. I fuck up really bad.
Well, you fuck up really well.
So yeah, like folk music has been therapy and has been a way of dismantling past expectations of myself or current expectations of myself, all the things that we inherit from education and from other people's comments, and a means of getting into community and a means of contributing to it as well.
Yeah.
I feel extremely blessed to have any role at all in Cornish folk.
What's really nice is that you do your Folks on Fridays on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or any social media that you have. But that's you're giving that out, putting that out there, especially on a Friday. It's so nice because like my Fridays are very busy and my Fridays are full of meetings all day and I'm exhausted. And then you put your Folks on Friday out and I can just like put that on and just like having some downtime at the end of the day, which is like, I just need to decompress for a second, and then I'll be like doom scrolling, and I'll see you want to put a post up. I'm like, great, I'm just gonna put that there and just decompress for a second. Yeah. So thank you for putting that out to the world. Yeah, because I'm sure there are a lot of other people that really appreciate it as well. It's
something I didn't expect. I think I did it because I wanted to externalize something that made me feel good, and you know, I was making music. I think I had sort of an internalized thing of going, well, this needs to go somewhere. This needs to be used somehow. But I didn't know how. I went, I'm just going to share it and share some stuff about the reels that I was playing, the history of the reels, where they're collected, where they, you know, some of them like Auld Lang Syne, not a reel, but an example of a song that's sung around the world and has been the national anthem of some countries. You know, was sung when the last Union Jack was taken down in America. You know, this rebel song. Yeah. Or a song that connects people to Scots and Scots Gaelic and their revival. Yeah. You know, folk has all sorts of threads. The songs have all sorts of histories that make us aware of how connected we are. Cornish folk has, you know, these remarkable sort of medieval elements where there's songs that have survived not being burnt to shit by sorry, I almost said Americans then. They're the English. So the Americans, but I meant the English. I don't know what that says. They're on our lives a lot, unfortunately, though, aren't they? At the moment. And yeah. It clearly draws from all sorts of other folk traditions as well. You know, klezmer and gypsy folk and things like that. You know, folk doesn't. It has its cultural lineages, but it doesn't really belong to anyone in these compartmentalized. Yeah, that's a big word. Things, because it feeds off of everyone who interacts with it. And that's what I love about Nozzle in particular. It's fresh every single time it happens. And it is enhanced by the ranges of people who go to them. Whether it's your first time. It does look like a lot of fun. Like, I haven't been to one, but it looks like so much fun. Get down to the Club Nozzle in Falmouth at Cornish Bank. So I'm just shouts and all. No, I mean, I'm going to get you to some promo stuff in a second anyway, but like I do go down to Helston a fair bit because one of my best friends lives down there. So at some point, I'm sure the planets will align again on the weekend when
it's open and we'll go.
Yeah. So they're popping up more and more with folk festivals outside of Cornwall. If you're in Cornwall and you go to a wassail or whatever, and you see a little serpent dance occur, that's sort of without going too much into complex history of Cornish dance and the different kinds of Cornish dance. If you see one, you're allowed to join in. You don't need to know what the steps are. You can walk along with it. The fact that you do it, it will immediately embrace you into that scenario and into the animism of the evening, of the pub session, of the wassail, of whatever else.
Cornish culture.
Yeah, and it's not supposed to be done properly.
Are you fluent in Cornish?
No, not at all. I can occasionally have some conversation. But yeah, I'm learning.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to have access to some of the information. I'm not in any sort of particular class yet, but I've been learning through folk song, through the Cornish folk songs, and it's difficult. Some of it has, I think, an accessibility issue. The same with Welsh. In some parts of Wales, where so that sort of ties with economic stuff as well. If you're struggling financially, you're not going to have any downtime to try and learn a language, any language, let alone the one that comes from where you are. But yeah,
I think the University of Aberystwyth still teaches Welsh. I think,
and of course they've got it in schools as well, and I think that's happening in Cornwall as well. I know some people who sort of said they did learn, but they didn't remember any of it, or it wasn't enough, or whatever. I don't know the state of that at the moment. I didn't go to school in Cornwall, but I think if you can engage with it on your terms, this is obviously like the BBC Cornwall news that's in Cornish. There's songs online. And also just like adding little bits into your day, mitten da, good morning, or fat again.
So that sounds so similar to Bolida.
And Nosda.
Nosda,
just the same. And that's the thing. Like immediately, you make cultural connections with your cultural cousins, and sharing their stories and in their fights as well, which is vital. And then it goes further afield to the Sami and Aboriginal people around the world who all have their own important stories, just as we do.
What have you got going on at the moment that you would like to promote, especially with your studio and your incredible artwork and portraiture?
Oh, well, the portraiture is another element. So I do teach out of my studio. I've got some classes on Eventbrite, although I might be switching over to Dandelion. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm at Finding the Still Point. If you just look for Ralph Nel, I'm sure you'll find either my Finding the Still Point or Ralph Nel portraiture.
What about Cloptos Lowen?
Yeah, so that happens every month in Falmouth at Cornish Bank. Beginners are always welcome. Mistakes are vital.
I love that. That's great.
It's just a great time. Dress lightly because it gets sweaty as heck. If you don't like sweat, maybe not for you. But also just coming on and watching is actually fine. Engaging in some really great music.
Yeah.
With some really fantastic bands who take folk to other levels that you might have been completely unaware of. Folk and electronic music or all sorts of funky fusions. And just look out for Nolan around Cornwall as well if you can't get to Falmouth. There's some further east at times, some further west. I think it's easy to forget how long Cornwall is.
75 miles, 76 miles. Yeah.
And a bugger to try and navigate at times. So, yeah. If you see it and you fancy it, you're absolutely more than welcome. There's no expectations of being a good dancer. I would have said I couldn't dance before going to Norse. And I'm one of the elite.
Amazing.
Which is weird. I wonder what my past self would think. But the openness and the accessibility of it all.
Awesome. Ralph, thank you so much. It has been so lovely to finally have a chat with you. It's been a really nice free flow. Thank you so much for letting me into your space and having this conversation, and hope to have you on another time.
Yeah, my pleasure. I feel very privileged to be asked at all.
Oh, thanks. I'm only a little podcaster.
It's important. And it gives voices to stories that might go missed.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Amazing. I hope you all enjoyed my conversation with Ralph. I had such a lovely afternoon speaking with them. Ralph's studio is based in the Barbican in Plymouth. It's on a little medieval street, and the building that they're in is an old Tudor building with a spiral staircase up to the studio. So stepping in there was like stepping back in time. And I was just so grateful that they welcomed me into their creative space. Ralph will definitely be coming back on to the podcast, as there is still so much more that we want to discuss, especially the role of Christian mysticism and the witch wound, and, more about rune work and queerness. There's just still so much more that we can explore. So I will definitely be having them back on as a guest again. I have linked all of Ralph's social media, so his Instagram, along with any portraiture classes coming up, all in the show notes. So please go and have a look at their socials and show them some support. Let's move on to our Witch Weekly events, where I let you know what witchy or spiritual events are happening in and around South Devon and Cornwall. Starting with local covens that are seeking new members. So if you're a solitary witch looking to join a coven, this might be for you. Ros and Booker, one of Cornwall's longest established covens, hold meetings in North Cornwall and the Devon-Cornwall border. Applicants are welcome to introduce themselves via email and can visit their website for more information. The Cunning is a witch and occult shop based in Plymouth. They currently hold the Coven of the Sacred Grove. They are a diverse group of witches from different paths that come together to learn and support each other. Within their coven, they break the year down into 4 seasons. The physical coven meets on a Tuesday and Thursday nights fortnightly. They also have an online coven with spaces available. Everyone is in a group together, and each week they drop different techniques and teachings from PDFs, slides, and videos. Joining the covens comes with a range of benefits. You can get money off the shop and services, and you can also make use of the coven library, which is for local members only. To join the physical coven, it's £30 per person, and if you want to join the online coven, that's £15. If you would like to get in touch, you can message them through their Instagram page or Facebook page, and I've also added their email address in the show notes. Local witchy and spiritual events. Continuing with the Cunning Grove, on Wednesdays they hold a Witch and Stitch, which is a free weekly crochet, knitting and witchcraft session. And on Saturday mornings, they hold a free Witch and Brew session, which is a social with tea, talk, and it has a teaching focus. This is from 11 a.m. until the last witch leaves, and you can find out more information via their website, which is linked in the show notes. Looking forward to this week and weekend.
The Cabinet of Folklore and Magick in Falmouth will be holding their tarot card readings on Saturday. Thursday the 5th of March, the Witch in the Wilderness is holding a 5-week journey of self-discovery called The Hidden Path. Step into the hidden path and begin a transformative journey of spiritual exploration, personal growth, and intuitive awakening. Guided by Ayla and Angie, this 5-week course is designed to help you reconnect with your inner wisdom, deepen your spiritual practice, and discover the path that feels true to you. Through guided exercises, sacred teachings, and supportive group work, you will explore ancient traditions, modern spiritual tools, and practical techniques to strengthen your confidence and intuition. Whether you are just beginning your journey or looking to deepen your existing practice, this course offers a safe, welcoming space to grow, learn, and evolve. Each session encourages reflection, empowerment, and connection, helping you uncover your unique gifts and walk your spiritual path with clarity and purpose. It's £15 per session and spaces are limited. Also on Thursday, the 5th of March, the lovely Meghan Field at Sacred Kernow Circle is holding an International Women's Day Circle. This will be from 7 p.m. until 9:30 p.m. Join Meghan for an in-person women's circle in Liskeard to celebrate the upcoming International Women's Day. You will gather in ceremony, connect with the land, and honour the strength, stories, and wisdom of women everywhere. Through meditation, sharing, and simple ritual, you will explore what it means to rise, rest, and reclaim your power together. The circle is a space to be witnessed, supported, and inspired, and a space to honour just how strong we are. Meghan will also be holding a day retreat on the actual day of International Women's Day on Sunday the 8th of March. This Saturday the 7th of March, in Perrin-Warthall, Hexhibition is holding an art collective event, so join them for an evening of slow looking, dark themes, and original works that ask for time, attention, and reflection. Also this Saturday, Wild Tribe Events are holding their pagan and spiritual fair in Bodmin. This will be at the Shire House Suite, and it will be 11 a.m. until 4 p.m, and entry is free. And looking ahead to next week, so on Friday the 13th of March at 7 p.m, Olivia Jensen will be holding her Into Me I See, which is a monthly temple for soulful humans. This is at Mount Pleasant Eco Park in Porthtowan. It's a monthly temple exploring intimacy with self and others through movement, ritual, and connective practices. The session lasts around 2 hours, and you can meet yourself in a joyful, playful, and ritualistic way. It's a facilitated group space where everyone is welcome. There will be music, movement, dancing, connection practices, meditation, and ritual. There is no expectations for you, just come with an open mind and heart and be willing to experience the simple joy of being alive. Also, what's happening next week down in Penzance, the Penzance Pagan Moot will be holding a talk by Andy Norfolk on the 12th of March. This will be at 6:45 in the evening at the Union Hotel, and entry is free, and Andy will be discussing Cornish deities. And then finally, I would like to mention that the lovely Trudy Holden, who joined me in season 1 for the episode of The Womb Healer, she would like to share that she is still accepting applications for her 1 year of the Earth Womb Shamanic Immersion. This will be starting at the spring equinox on the 21st of March. You can join Trudy, and she will be holding this for the 4th year running. It's a deep immersion with Mother Earth as a living, breathing mirror of our own human experience, activating ourselves and the sacred land of Coscuis, as you will meet 8 times throughout the year for ceremonies and retreat days. But please note, this is a feminine immersion of self-discovery and not practitioner training. Links to all of the events that I have mentioned are in the show notes. If you have an upcoming witchy or spiritual event in March and you would like me to do a shout out for your event on the show, then please contact me. My details are in the show notes, and you can find me at the Cornish Witch Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. that is everything I have for you for this episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Cornish Witch Podcast. This podcast is an independent personal project created outside of my professional life. It exists as a space for conversation with witches, spiritual practitioners, and those walking their own paths, sharing lived practice, ritual, experience, and folklore often rooted here in Cornwall and the land itself. If you value these conversations and would like to support the continuation of the podcast, there is a voluntary link in the show notes. Listening will always remain free and there is no expectation to contribute. Whether you support here, listen quietly, or carry these stories onward by sharing them with others, thank you. Your presence honours the craft and keeps these tellings alive. May these stories find you when they are meant to. And until next time, may the path rise to meet you.